Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crawled out of the maintenance shaft. The smell of burning circuits filled the air around him. He had been working for 16 hours straight, trying to fix the power systems on Station Gamma 7. The massive space station was home to over 2 million beings from 12 different alien species, but not a single one of them knew how to repair the generators that kept them alive. "How bad is it?" asked Lisa Park, his chief engineer. She was covered in grease and looked as tired as Jake felt. Her red hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and her blue jumpsuit had scorch marks from electrical burns. "Bad," Jake said, shaking his head. "The main reactor is running at 60% power. The backup systems are failing one by one. If we don't get replacement parts soon, this whole station will lose life support." Kevin Ross looked up from his computer screen. He had been monitoring the station's systems for the past 3 days without sleep. "I've been tracking the failures," he said. "The pattern shows that someone has been ignoring maintenance warnings for 8 months. They just assumed we would fix everything when it broke." Jake felt anger rise in his chest, but he pushed it down. This was not the first time something like this had happened. Across the galaxy, humans were the ones who fixed things when they broke. They maintained the hyperspace beacons that allowed ships to travel between stars. They repaired the massive orbital stations where aliens lived and worked. They kept the computer networks running that connected thousands of worlds. But the aliens never seemed to notice. They were too busy with their art, their philosophy, and their politics. They thought maintenance work was beneath them. They thought humans were just there to serve them. The door to the engineering section opened with a loud hiss. A tall, thin alien walked in. Zixthara was from the Velkari species. Her skin was blue-green and covered with small scales. She wore the fancy robes of a Galactic Council representative. Her forearms moved gracefully as she spoke, but her voice was cold and commanding. "Human Morrison," she said, not bothering to use his rank. "I need a status report. The Council is getting complaints about power fluctuations. When will you have this fixed?" Jake stood up slowly. He was tired of being spoken to like a servant. "We need replacement parts," he said. "The ones I requested?" 3 weeks ago. "Without them, we can't make permanent repairs." Zixthara's large eyes narrowed. "That is not acceptable. You will make do with what you have. The Council has approved new budget cuts for maintenance. We cannot waste money on expensive parts when humans can simply work harder." "Work harder?" Lisa Park stepped forward, her face red with anger. "We've been working around the clock for months. We're doing the job of 20 people with a crew of 5. And you want us to work harder?" "That is what humans do," Zixthara replied with a dismissive wave of one of her arms. "You fix things. It is your purpose. The Council has more important matters to discuss than the complaints of maintenance workers." Kevin Ross turned away from his computer. "With respect, Representative, if this station loses power completely, 2 million people will die. That seems pretty important to me." Zixthara's scales darkened with irritation. "Do not lecture me about importance, human. Your species exists to serve the greater galactic community. You should be grateful that we allow you to contribute to civilization." The words hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. He had spent 15 years of his life keeping alien worlds running. He had saved countless lives by fixing critical systems. His people had built most of the technology that held galactic civilization together. And this alien thought they should be grateful for the chance to serve. "There's something else," Zixthara continued. "The Council has passed new regulations. All human engineering teams will now report directly to alien supervisors. You will no longer be allowed to make decisions about repairs or maintenance schedules. Aliens will tell you what to fix and when to fix it." Jake felt something break inside him. "You want to treat us like slaves?" "Not slaves," Zixthara said with what might have been a smile. "Employees. Very specialized employees. The Council believes that humans have too much freedom in their current roles. This new system will be more efficient." Lisa Park laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Efficient? You can't even keep your own stations running without us." "Half. The aliens in the galaxy don't know the difference between a power coupling and a sandwich." "That is irrelevant," Zixthara replied. "Aliens are meant for higher purposes. We create art, We explore philosophy, we govern worlds. Humans are meant to fix machines, it is the natural order. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was clenching her fists. Kevin had closed his laptop and was staring at the alien representative, with undisguised contempt. These were good people. They were skilled engineers who had dedicated their lives to keeping the galaxy safe. And this alien thought they were nothing more than tools. No, Jake said quietly. Zixthera's head tilted. Excuse me? I said no. Jake's voice was getting louder. We're not your servants, we're not your slaves. We're skilled professionals who deserve respect, and if you can't give us that respect, then maybe you don't deserve our help. The aliens' scales turned almost black with anger. You cannot refuse to do your job, human. The Council will not tolerate such insubordination. There will be consequences. What consequences? Jake asked. You'll fire us? Good luck running your precious civilization without us. You'll find out real quick how important maintenance workers are when your life support systems start failing. Zixthera drew herself up to her full height. The Council does not negotiate with servants. You will accept the new regulations or you will be replaced. Replaced with who? Kevin asked. Do you know any aliens who can repair a quantum reactor? Any who can maintain a hyperspace beacon network? Any who even understand how the systems work that keep your worlds from freezing to death? The alien representative had no answer for that. She stood there for a moment, her forearms trembling with rage. Then she turned and walked toward the door. You have 24 hours to accept the new terms, she said without looking back. After that, the Council will take appropriate action. The doctor closed behind her with a final hiss. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was shaking her head in disgust. Kevin was already opening his laptop again. They had work to do. They always had work to do. That was the problem. You know what? Jake said slowly. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being treated like garbage by people who can't survive without us. I'm tired of fixing their mistakes and getting no credit for it. I'm tired of watching good humans work themselves to death for aliens who think we're beneath them. So what do you want to do about it? Lisa asked. Jake walked over to the communication panel. He input a code that would send a message to every human ship, every human station, every human outpost in the galaxy. It was a code that had never been used before, but every human knew what it meant. I want to show them what happens when the maintenance workers go on strike, he said, and pressed the send button. The signal traveled faster than light through the galactic communication network. Within 6 hours, every human in the galaxy had received Jake Morrison's message. It was simple and clear. Pack your bags. We're going home. Amanda Foster was deep underground on Kepler 4 when her communicator buzzed. She was supervising the mining operation that extracted rare metals for alien spacecraft engines. The mine employed 3,000 humans and produced materials that kept half the galaxy's ships flying. She read the message twice, then smiled. For the first time in months. Attention all human personnel, she announced over the mine's communication system. We are shutting down operations immediately. Pack only personal items, we leave in 12 hours. Her assistant, Tom Brady, looked confused. What about the contracts? The aliens will be furious. They need these materials for their ships. Amanda shrugged. Let them dig it themselves. They think mining is such simple work that monkeys could do it. Time to prove that theory. She walked to the main control room and began the shutdown sequence. The massive mining machines powered down one by one. The conveyor belts stopped moving. The processing plants went silent. In 12 hours, the most productive mining operation in the galaxy would be empty. But Amanda wasn't just leaving. She was being thorough. She deleted all the geological surveys that showed where the best ore deposits were located. She wiped the computer files that contained 20 years of mining data. She even took the specialized tools that her teams had designed to work in the mine's dangerous conditions. What about the safety systems? Asked Carol Lopez, the mine's chief safety officer. If we just leave them running, they might break down and hurt someone. Amanda thought about that. Even though she was angry at how humans had been treated, she didn't want anyone to get hurt. Set them to basic mode. They'll keep people safe for a few weeks. After that, the aliens will need to figure it out themselves. Across the galaxy, Similar scenes were playing out. Dr. Ryan Bell was packing his office at the Central Medical Research Station. He had spent 10 years developing treatments for diseases that affected multiple alien species. His research had saved millions of lives. But the alien doctors always got the credit while he was treated like a lab assistant. "Dr. Bell," said Dr. Xkexthan, his Zephyrian supervisor, "what is the meaning of this? You cannot simply leave in the middle of important research." Ryan continued packing his personal research notes. "Watch me. You always said human medicine was primitive compared to alien healing techniques. Now you can prove it." "But the epidemic on Centauri 7, Dr. Xkexthan protested. We need the vaccine you are developing. Thousands will die without it." Ryan paused. He genuinely cared about saving lives. That's why he became a doctor. But he also knew that the only way to change how humans were treated was to show the aliens what they would lose. "The research is all in the computers," he said. "Of course, it's written in human medical terminology, using human research methods, based on human biological databases. Good luck understanding any of it without humans to explain it." He picked up his bag and walked toward the door. "Oh, and the medical equipment we designed? It only responds to human voice commands and human biological signatures. You might want to figure out how to change that." Captain Carol Stone was loading the last of the evacuation ships at the Proxima Station shipyards. Her fleet of transport vessels was designed to move large numbers of people quickly and safely. Today, they were carrying 40,000 human workers away from the largest shipbuilding facility in the galaxy. The aliens who ran the shipyards were panicking. Without human workers, they couldn't build new ships. Worse, they couldn't even maintain the ships they already had. Humans had designed most of the complex systems that kept modern spacecraft running. Captain Stone, called Commander Vextar of the Aquatic Collective, his breathing apparatus made his voice sound bubbly and strange. "This is madness. You cannot simply abandon your posts. We have contracts. We have legal obligations." Carol laughed as she supervised the loading of the last cargo container. "Legal obligations? Like the legal obligation to treat workers with respect? Like the legal obligation to provide safe working conditions? Like the legal obligation to pay fair wages?" The alien commander's tentacles writhed with frustration. "You are being unreasonable. The Galactic Council will not allow this disruption." "The Galactic Council?" Carol's voice became hard. "The same council that just voted to put us under alien supervision? The same council that calls us servants? Let them stop us." She turned to her crew. "Is everyone aboard?" All humans accounted. "4, Captain," reported her first officer, Dan Miller. "The last of the technical documentation has been secured." Carol nodded. The humans weren't just leaving. They were taking their knowledge with them. Every blueprint, every technical manual, every maintenance guide that human engineers had written over the decades was being deleted from alien computers and loaded onto human ships. "What about the automated systems?" asked Chief Engineer Betty White. "Should we leave them running?" Carol considered this. The automated systems would keep basic functions working for a while, but they were designed to work with human oversight. Without regular maintenance and updates from human technicians, they would eventually fail. "Set them to run for 1 month," she decided. That should give the aliens time to figure out what they want to do. As the human ships prepared to leave, the shipyard's communication system crackled to life. It was Zix Thara, the Velkari representative. "From the Galactic Council. Attention human workers," her voice echoed through the massive facility. "This illegal work stoppage must end immediately. Return to your duties or face severe consequences. The Council will not be intimidated by this childish tantrum." Carol activated the shipyard's main communication system. Her voice boomed through speakers all across the station. "Representative Zix Thara, this is Captain Carol Stone. We are not on strike. We quit. All of us. Every human in the galaxy. We're going home." There was silence for a moment. Then Zix Thara's voice returned, sounding less confident. "You cannot all quit. Who will maintain the hyperspace beacon network? Who will repair the orbital stations? Who will run the mining operations?" That's your problem now, Carol replied. You always said aliens were superior to humans. You said we were just servants who did simple work. Prove it. Do the work yourselves. The first human ship began moving away from the station, then another, then another. Within an hour, the entire fleet was heading toward the edge of the system, toward the hyperspace jump point that would take them back to human space. Behind them, the aliens watched in growing panic as the backbone of their civilization walked away. The Zephyrians realized that their beautiful crystal cities would have no power without human engineers to maintain the fusion reactors. The aquatic collective understood that their underwater colonies would flood without human technicians to run the pressure systems. The crystalline hegemony saw that their computer networks would crash without human programmers to write and update the software. Kevin Ross sat on the bridge of the transport ship New Dawn, monitoring the galactic communication networks. The messages were already starting to come in. Reports of system failures, requests for technical assistance, increasingly desperate pleas for humans to return to their jobs. How long do you think it will take? Asked Lisa Park, who was sitting next to him. For what? Kevin asked. For them, to realize they can't survive without us. Kevin smiled grimly as another emergency signal appeared on his screen. A space station in the Vega system was reporting life support failures. A hyperspace beacon in the Centauri cluster had gone offline. A fusion reactor on the Zephyrian homeworld was overheating. I'd say about a week, he said, maybe less. 6 months had passed since the last human ship left alien space. Commander Alex Turner stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Guardian, watching the long-range sensors with grim satisfaction. The reports coming from the galaxy were exactly what he had expected, but somehow worse than anyone had imagined. Sir, we're receiving another distress signal from the Zephyrian Empire, reported Lieutenant Sarah Davis from the communication station. Their entire home system has lost hyperspace communication. They're completely cut off from the rest of their empire. Alex nodded without surprise. The hyperspace beacon network had been built and maintained entirely by human engineers. The aliens had never bothered to learn how the complex quantum transmitters worked. They just assumed humans would always be there to fix them when they broke. What about the crystalline hegemony? Alex asked. Their main processing centers are shutting down one by one, Sarah replied, reading from her screen. Without the cooling systems that human engineers designed, their silicon-based computers are overheating. They've lost 60% of their computational capacity. Dr. Maria Lopez, Earth's Director of Galactic Affairs, was reviewing reports in her office when her assistant knocked on the door. Ma'am, you need to see this. It's from the Aquatic Collective. Maria took the data pad and read the message. Her face grew pale. This can't be right. They're reporting that 15 of their underwater cities have been evacuated due to life support failures? Yes, ma'am. Without human technicians to maintain the pressure systems and air recyclers, the cities are becoming uninhabitable. The collective's engineers don't understand how the human-designed systems work. Maria shook her head in disbelief. The Aquatic Collective had always been proud of their advanced underwater civilization. Their cities housed over 2 billion beings, but those cities depended on incredibly complex life support systems that had been designed and built by human engineers. What about the medical crisis, she asked. Her assistant's expression grew even more serious. It's getting worse. The pandemic on Rigel 3 has spread to 4 more systems. Without human doctors and human-designed medical equipment, the death toll is approaching 50 million. Maria felt a knot form in her stomach. She had supported the human exodus because she knew their people deserved better treatment. But she hadn't expected the consequences to be this severe. Entire civilizations were collapsing without human expertise. On the mining world of Kepler-4, the aliens had tried to restart the operations that Amanda Foster had shut down. They had sent their own engineers to the mines, confident that they could figure out how to extract the rare metals they needed for their spacecraft. 3 months later, the mines were flooded disasters. The alien engineers had not understood the complex drainage systems that kept water out of the deep tunnels. They had not known how to maintain the atmospheric processors that kept the air breathable underground. They had not realized that the mining equipment required daily calibration to work safely. The first accident killed 23 Velkari miners when a tunnel collapsed. The second accident poisoned an entire work crew with toxic gases. After the third accident, the alien mining company gave up entirely. The most productive mining operation in the galaxy was now a flooded ruin. Commander Vexitar of the Aquatic Collective was swimming frantically through the corridors of his flagship. His breathing apparatus was malfunctioning, and none of his crew knew how to fix it. The device had been designed by human engineers specifically for aquatic species who needed to work in air-filled environments. "Get me a communication link to Earth," he gasped, struggling to breathe. "I don't care what it costs." His communication officer, Lieutenant Blutar, worked desperately at the controls. But the long-range communication array was also failing. Like most of the ship's advanced systems, it had been built by humans and required human maintenance to function properly. "Sir, I can't establish a stable connection. The quantum resonance chamber is out of alignment and I don't know how to fix it." Vexitar felt panic rising in his chest. His entire fleet was stranded in deep space. Without working life support systems, his crew would be dead within days. And there were no humans left to call for help. The crisis reached its peak when the Central Galactic Medical Hub experienced a complete systems failure. The massive space station served as the primary medical facility for 12 different species. It housed the galaxy's most advanced hospitals, research laboratories, and disease control centers. Dr. Exthan, the Zephyrian who had supervised Ryan Bell, was working frantically to contain a viral outbreak that had already killed thousands. But without human doctors and human-designed medical equipment, he was fighting a losing battle. "The diagnostic systems are not responding," reported his assistant, Dr. Clichy. "The treatment protocols are written in human medical terminology. I cannot understand how to operate the equipment." Dr. Exthan tentacles writhed with frustration. "What about the automated systems? Surely they can function without human supervision. The automated systems require daily updates and maintenance checks. The humans program them to shut down if they don't receive proper oversight. It was a safety feature to prevent accidents." The irony was not lost on Dr. Exthan. The humans had designed their medical systems to be foolproof and safe. But, in doing so, they had made them impossible for other species to operate without human guidance. As the medical hub descended into chaos, the viral outbreak spread to 6 more systems. Planets that had not seen epidemic disease in centuries were now watching millions of their people die from illnesses that human doctors could have treated easily. The Galactic Council met in emergency session, but for the first time in their history they had no solutions to offer. Representative Zixthara stood before the assembled delegates, her scales pale with fear. "The situation is worse than we imagined," she admitted. 90% of our critical infrastructure was dependent on human maintenance and expertise. Our civilizations are collapsing without them. Delegate Prime Kuksara of the Silicon Coalition spoke with a voice like grinding stone. "Our computational networks are failing. Our cities are losing power. Our ships cannot navigate hyperspace safely. We are becoming isolated from each other as the systems that connect us break down." "What about our own engineers?" asked Council Speaker Rindal. "Can't they learn to maintain these systems?" Zixthara's expression grew even more grim. "We tried. The human systems are incredibly complex and sophisticated. Our engineers estimate it would take decades to train enough technicians to replace the humans we lost. And that's assuming we can find the technical documentation, which the humans took with them." A long silence fell over the council chamber. For centuries, these species had considered themselves the pinnacle of galactic civilization. They had viewed humans as simple servants who performed menial tasks. Now they were discovering that those menial tasks were actually the foundation that held their entire society together. "What do the humans want?" asked Council Speaker Rindal finally. Zixthara activated a holographic display showing Earth's response to their recent communications. "They want full representation in the Galactic Council. They want equal treatment and fair compensation for their work. They want their species to be recognized as partners, not servants." "And if we refuse?" Zixthara looked around the council chamber at the desperate faces of the galaxy's leaders. "Then we continue to watch our civilizations collapse, one system at a time until there's nothing left to govern." 2 years after the Great Walkout, President Elena Rodriguez sat in the conference room of the New Geneva space station. Across the table from her were representatives from every major alien species in the galaxy. But this time, things were different. The aliens were not giving orders or making demands. They were begging. Zixthera looked nothing like the proud council representative she had been 2 years ago. Her blue-green scales were dull and faded. Her fancy robes had been replaced with simple work clothes. She spoke with a voice that shook with desperation. President Rodriguez, we need your help. Our people are dying. Our civilizations are falling apart. We know we made mistakes. We know we treated humans badly. But please, we need you to come back. Elena looked at the alien with calm eyes. She remembered the reports of how Zixthera had spoken to Jake Morrison and his crew, how she had called humans servants and said their only purpose was to fix things for aliens. Representative Zixthera, Elena said slowly, 2 years ago you told my people that they should be grateful just to serve the galaxy. You said humans were meant to take orders from aliens. What has changed? The alien's forearms trembled. Everything has changed. We understand now. We were wrong, completely wrong. We thought the work humans did was simple. We thought anyone could do it. We were fools. Admiral Jake Morrison sat next to the president. He wore the uniform of the human space fleet, with the stars of a fleet commander on his shoulders. The man who had once crawled through maintenance shafts was now one of the most powerful military leaders in human space. Representative, Jake, said, you're asking us to come back and fix your problems, but why should we trust you? How do we know you won't treat us like servants again once your crisis is over? Council Speaker Rindal leaned forward. His crystalline body reflected the lights of the conference room like a broken prism. Admiral Morrison, we are prepared to offer full membership in the Galactic Council. Humans will have equal votes on all decisions. You will be partners, not employees. Dr. Maria Lopez, now the Secretary of Human Galactic Relations, opened a data pad. Let's talk about specifics. What exactly are you offering? Zixthera looked at her fellow council members, then back at the humans. Complete equality. Human. Representatives will sit on the Galactic Council with the same authority as any other species. Human companies will have full trading rights throughout the galaxy. Human colonies will be established on any worlds you choose. And compensation? Asked Elena. Fair market rates for all work performed, Zixthera replied quickly. Plus back pay for the past 2 years. Plus compensation for the damages caused by our refusal to listen to human maintenance warnings. Elena exchanged glances with her advisors. These were generous offers, but she knew her people needed more than just words. We want it in writing, she said. A formal treaty signed by every species in the council. We want legal protections to ensure humans can never again be treated as second-class citizens. Of course, Zixthera agreed. Whatever you need. Captain Lisa Park entered the conference room, still wearing her engineering uniform. She had spent the past 2 years designing new technologies for the human defense fleet. Her innovations had made human ships the most advanced in the galaxy. President Rodriguez, she said, we're receiving emergency signals from 17 different systems. The medical crisis in the Rigel sector is getting worse. The Zephyrian home system is completely cut off from hyperspace. The aquatic collective's underwater cities are failing. Elena nodded grimly. Even though she was angry at how humans had been treated, she couldn't ignore the millions of innocent people who were suffering. Many of them had never been involved in the decision to treat humans badly. Admiral Morrison, she said, how quickly can we get relief missions organized? Jake consulted his tablet. I have 3 hospital ships ready to launch. We can have medical teams in the Rigel sector within 48 hours. Engineering crews can reach the Zephyrian system in 72 hours. And the hyperspace beacon network? Chief Engineer Kevin Ross, now head of the Human Technical Corps, spoke up from his seat. We've been working on portable beacon units. We can restore basic communication to the most critical systems within a week. Full network restoration will take about 6 months. Elena looked around the table at the alien representatives. They were watching the human discussion with desperate hope. These proud species who had once looked down on humanity were now completely dependent on human mercy. Before we agree to anything, Elena said, I want to make something clear. We're not coming back as your employees. We're not coming back as your servants. If we do this, we do it as equal partners. Yes, Zixthara said immediately. Equal. Partners. We understand that now. Do you? Elena asked. Because for centuries, your species have believed that some kinds of work are more important than others, that philosophers and artists are more valuable than engineers and doctors, that thinking is more noble than building. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. My people learned something during the past 2 years. We learned that we don't need you as much as you need us. We built our own colonies. We created our own trade networks. We developed our own technologies. We could be perfectly happy staying in human space and never dealing with the galaxy again. The silence in the room was deafening. The alien representatives realized that humanity held all the cards in this negotiation. Elena turned back to face them. But we also learned something else. We learned that we don't want to watch innocent people suffer because of their leaders' mistakes. The people dying in those hospital wards never voted to treat humans badly. The children living and failing, colonies never called us servants. She returned to her seat. So here's what we're going to do. We'll send immediate humanitarian aid to anyone who needs it. We'll restore critical systems to prevent more deaths. But the long-term relationship between humans and the rest of the galaxy is going to be completely different. Admiral Morrison activated a holographic display showing the proposed new galactic structure. The Human Federation will be an equal member of the Galactic Alliance, not a subordinate group. Human colonies will be sovereign territories. Human companies will compete freely in galactic markets. And most importantly, human workers will be treated with the same respect as any other professionals. Dr. Lopez added. We're also proposing the creation of the Galactic Technical Institute. It will train engineers, doctors, and technicians from all species. No single species should ever again be solely responsible for maintaining galactic civilization. Council Speaker Rindal's crystalline form glowed brighter. You would share your technical knowledge with us, even after how we treated you? Elena smiled for the first time during the meeting. That's what partners do. They help each other. They share knowledge. They work together as equals. 3 months later, Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, humanity's new flagship. Through the viewport, he could see human and alien crews working together to repair a damaged space station. The workers were laughing and talking as they worked, treating each other with mutual respect. Lieutenant Sarah Davis approached with a report. Sir, the Zephyrian system is back online. Hyperspace communications are restored. The medical crisis in the Rigel sector is under control. The aquatic collective's cities are running normally again. Jake nodded with satisfaction. What about the new trainees at the Technical Institute? Excellent progress, sir. We have alien students learning human engineering techniques and human students learning alien theoretical sciences. The cooperation is remarkable. Jake smiled. The galaxy was working again, but it was working differently. Humans were no longer the invisible servants who kept everything running. They were partners, contributors, and leaders, and the galaxy was stronger because of it. The crisis had taught everyone a valuable lesson. There was no such thing as unimportant work or unimportant people. Every job, every skill, every person had value. And when everyone was treated with respect, amazing things could happen.